Ms. Lynch, Ms. Robertson, Mr. Poole, Mr. Giovia.
Present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance, and we do have a quorum.
You have a quorum.
We do, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Firestone.
Thank you.
At this time, is public comment period. Are there any members of the public who would like to come before this body and give us their best 3 minutes?
If I may, we do have
Please.
a few attendees, and I just want to make sure we know who they are and if they're here to do public comment.
Please.
So I'll just, if we can hold for a second and just see if there's anyone that's on the line that needs to have permission to speak. You can indicate.
You tell them how to indicate, they can raise their hand or?
Yes, you could raise your hand, you can chat. I can also allow you to talk and you can speak up at this moment.
Ms. Russell has asked to be moved over to panelist. If she could.
She has been moved.
Okay, and
We have one person on the phone line and another individual on the Madison Wilson. So I just want to make sure we've got everybody accounted for.
I think the phone line might be Mr. Atkins.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. So no members of the public at this time, is that?
We have not gotten any requests for.
All right, very good. Is there a motion to approve this agenda or are there any amendments?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Newbill.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Hopefully folks have gotten an opportunity to review the May and June meeting minutes. If so, or if there's any items to change or amend, I'd entertain a motion as well. Please.
Mr. Chairman, I was not in attendance at the May meeting. However, the minutes indicate I made a motion to approve the third quarter financial statements, so I think that I don't move out of it. I wasn't here, but.
Okay.
Telepathic communication.
We can
All right.
review that and make the correction.
Subject to that correction, is there a motion? Mr.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
I may be out of order with this, but I think a similar problem might exist with Commissioner Davis not being present. It shows on, I think, page 6, he made a comment about public outreach. Mr. Davis can answer to that in the minutes.
Is there,
It shows him not present at the meeting, but making a comment on page 6 under public outreach.
okay, he's stating he was present, so.
I apologize.
No, that's good. So that's our number 2. Subject to those corrections, do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Dr. Newbill, thank you. A motion? And a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Just so we get clarity, if members wouldn't mind, since we have people coming from all directions, if you could say your name when you make a motion or a second.
It does help.
It's a little hard, yeah.
I'll try to repeat it too,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Cedar. Yeah.
So I have Dr. Newbill and Mr. Peterson, is that correct? Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. All right, this time we have a special program with the Emergency Management Alliance of Central Virginia. And we are very much pleased to welcome from Chesterfield, Jessica Robinson. Thank you for joining us this morning. She served as a public outreach coordinator, deputy emergency management coordinator, is now the emergency management coordinator, and has led Chesterfield through extended response. Obviously, as we've all been through COVID-19, severe weather events. We had a tornado a few years ago in Chesterfield, civil unrest, planning and response, and coordinated response, evacuation, sheltering efforts surrounding a 700-year flood in August of 2020, which was memorable for all of us. She is responsible for the comprehensive emergency management program at Chesterfield, has a Bachelor of Science degree from Penn State, and Master of Business Administration from Western Governors University, and earned her Professional Emergency Manager's certification. and again, chair of the Emergency Management Alliance of Central Virginia. Bill Lawson is also with us. He's the Deputy Emergency Coordinator for the City of Richmond, having served the city for almost 7 years. Prior experience at the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. Bill has served in a number of leadership roles throughout his career and is currently the Vice Chair of the Emergency Management Alliance for Central Virginia, having served as chair previously in committee leadership roles. He's the legislative chair, so anybody's interested in legislation, that's who you talk to for that management association, and serves as a mentor to other developing emergency managers throughout the region. Bill has a degree from Virginia Commonwealth University, is avid contributor to various professional development and emergency management certification programs. Please welcome both of them.
Mr. Chair, thank you so much for that warm welcome. Thank you, all of you, for having us today. It is a pleasure for Bill and I to be here today to talk to all of you, the leaders of the communities that we serve and support, to tell you a little bit, not only about the Alliance, but about emergency management in general, get reacquainted and refamiliarized with one another, because we're here to support you as the leaders and the people that are in your communities. So, Bill?
So first off, Martha, thank you so much. I don't know how you pulled that bio together because I didn't send one to you. And if you could send that to me, that was awesome. So let me start with a question. What do you guys think of when you think emergency management? What does it mean?
Planning.
Planning?
Response.
Response?
Response.
So planning, response,
5-minute response.
5-minute response. So
That's right.
we always joke because we joke it's a mafia, right? We know a guy.
Yep. We're the public safety mafia.
That's a lot of what we
always
do,
gotta
right? And a lot of it comes down to some of the planning, some of the things that we do to try to make sure that our communities are ready. So we wanted to pull this slide up, and I'm sorry it's in front of you, not quite in front of us. But as you can see, we look at it as that coordination of resources, right? There's a lot of things that we have within the region. Our group works to try to make sure that we've got more of that stuff in the region that we can share, as well as bolstering those different communities. Building resilience, we get grants for the region, that sort of thing. So in your community, you've got somebody that's doing that. In our community, that's what we do. We pull grants in, we try to work with all of our partners to be that public safety glue so that when there's a problem, I know a guy and I can help make that come to fruition.
Yep. So some misconceptions when we hear about emergency management. People think we're first responders. We aren't. We actually sit in the background and we coordinate all of the resources and things for those who are on scene, for the residents who need additional support services. So think of sheltering, damage assessment, debris management. Those are the things that emergency managers coordinate. If the first responders need resources, we can help that because remember, we got a guy. Meteorologists, we aren't meteorologists, but we know a lot of them in Wakefield. They're all in our phones, but we learn how to read weather maps very well. But typically here in Central Virginia, since weather is kind of our disaster du jour, that's what people typically associate us with. But we are an all hazards profession. Everything from hazmat to civil unrest, transportation accidents, everything you can think of that would create widespread drain on resources and issues for our community, we're on it. We do not have a large budget. We actually work, and we're going to talk about budgets a little bit later, but we have very small budgets. We don't have a lot of staff. Chesterfield, we have 3. Richmond, how many? 4.5. And in a lot of communities, it might be a half-timer. So we don't have a lot of staff, but we can do a lot because, again, look at that graph. We pull together the people that know more than we do, and we put those people at the table, and we are a force multiplier. That's what we do.
So a great example is we got much more involved with our police department over the past couple years. Now they include us on stuff just to make sure that we're aware of it because we've helped them get stuff through so much of the past couple years. So it was just a great example of how that's kind of worked.
And in Chesterfield County, IST and the general registrar has now pulled emergency management in on their cyber and election security planning for our holistic 30,000 foot view approach. So it's really cool the things we're getting pulled into now.
So, have any of you heard of UASI grants, Urban Area Security Initiatives? I see a couple hands out there. So those really came into play after 2001, and it's kind of what drove the formation of our group. So Hampton Roads still gets money for their urban area stuff. National Capital Region, I mean, we don't even want to talk about how much money they get for it. And so we actually lost funding for this in 2012. And as you can see, we're far bigger than we used to be back when we started. It was just for the Richmond Metropolitan Statistical Area. We now cover and touch 7 different planning districts. We touch 3 Virginia Department of Emergency Management regions. So we've kind of grown just out of a collaborative effort. We really do work towards making sure that anything that we do impacts all of the regions within us.
So to that end, as Bill mentioned, the UASI, we started, you want to click to the next one?
Yeah.
We started with grant money for the UASI initiatives. We lost that grant money. So money brought us together, but value kept us together. That's why our group continues to grow to this day, bringing emergency managers, public safety, healthcare, education, social services, volunteers, private sector partners, all to the table, because the value that the Alliance brings to this region keeps drawing people in. So while the money brought us together, the value keeps us together, and some of that value is right here on the screen for you. We really place a lot of emphasis on networking, because again, we always gotta know a guy, and we want to know that guy before it's a really bad day. Collaboration and developing a coordinated pool of resources that we can share amongst the region.
A good thing to point out too, regional planning, we heard that as emergency management. We've grown that hazard mitigation plan. I'm not sure how many of you get involved or hear about it, but it's one of those you have to get emergency money. We've grown and covered our whole area just to make sure that we're making it easy for everyone to participate. And it's a regional update versus you having to worry about yours and you having to worry about yours, and doing it that way. We've also, because we've lost that funding and we do so well collaboratively, we've gotten the lion's share of a lot of the Homeland Security grants over the past few years. And, speaking of grants and budgets, we heard that y'all have seen a decrease in funding, right? We've all seen decreases in budgets. So that's where we're trying to look at where we can fill gaps with that. We regularly bring in about $300,000 to support initiatives in our region. That's training and exercise support beyond what we can get from the state. We've been using that to help build resources for exercises. So we can have a cache of clipboards for when people need it and things like that.
One of the really cool things that we have pulled together as a region is an exercise trailer. So it is a full trailer with vests, simunition weapons, clipboards, all the administrative things. So all of those things that localities need to pull an exercise together real effectively, but may just not have at their disposal. So they can come sign it out. We'll bring bodies to help evaluate, control, facilitate these exercises from the region. And that way, we're doing more with the money we're getting.
And one just another example on that too is, have y'all heard of family assistance centers or family reunification centers after big events? Regionally, we worked on that. We have templates that can be used locally so that you don't have to start your own plan. You've got one, you can work as a template and an exercise that goes with it. So that's available to anybody to use that we created regionally.
Public outreach materials. So public outreach is a huge thing, right? We want to prepare our residents. We partner with the squirrels every year, and they create outreach materials that our localities can download and use. This year, Parney and Nutsy, we did videos for See Something, Say Something and heat awareness, extreme heat. So, we always want to try and make sure we give a good mix of resources for our localities. We have to thank Martha and the PlanRVA staff for all of the support they give us. They heard our cats and they heard them well. So, they do so much, and we try to make sure that we're not an unnecessary burden on them. So, Martha, thank you.
So, we also had, the COVID-19 fund that launched with the Community Foundation. Have you guys heard or seen, or did your communities benefit from that fund?
It's an impact report.
So that fund came out of the Alliance, partnered with PlanRVA and Community Foundation. There's, not to bore you with all the technical details, but you know, you guys have seen where there's a state level declaration. That means certain things for funding, right? If it doesn't meet a federal declaration, the state there's relief funds at the state level. So what happens when we have things like Chesterfield, for example, that had a huge flood, but it didn't get a state declaration? How do we help that community out? So that's where we were starting with this fund, and COVID-19, we went, oh, quick, turn it on, let's make and see if this works. And it did. It funneled, I think we have 6 million through here, but I think it was, it's over 7, now I think it was 7.2, but either way, over $6.4 million got funneled through that, through nonprofits to the community. So we're working on that collaboration now to make it so that it's more permanent, so that we can turn it on for that big event that's really impacting everybody that we know might get a state declaration or a federal one like COVID-19, but also we can use it for all those everyday things where it's impacted one of our communities but isn't reaching a state level. Yes, ma'am.
Who were the 16 localities that were served?
I don't have that off the top of my head. We can definitely get that report out to you. I don't know if Martha's got that available as well, but yeah, we can pull that information, but it was vetted through the group. I know funds went through Richmond, Chesterfield.
So they did go Richmond and Chesterfield?
Oh, yes, they were large beneficiaries. The report is posted on our website. I think we handed out the report in hard copy in the April meeting, April or May, but we can send the link out to everybody again.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we're very happy with that fund. It worked out very well, and we hope that's a model that we can continue to push to help fund those things when they don't reach that state level.
All right.
But Henrico didn't receive
So-
any.
Oh, yes, yes.
The best part of the Alliance, and what we really want everyone to understand, is we ensure everyone in our localities is represented, okay? So localities, partners, volunteers, our tribal nations, they are included and considered in any equipment, planning, exercise, deliverable, anything we do through the Alliance, and that's regardless of participation. So we understand everyone's time is valuable and very limited, especially right now. So we don't say, well, if you're not at our meetings, you don't get to benefit. That's not how it is. We want to make sure everybody benefits from the Alliance's initiatives, regardless of whether they're able to participate or not. And what we have seen through COVID is that our participation has grown. So this equipment has allowed us to do virtual meetings, hybrid meetings. It was very hard for people to travel from King William to come to a meeting, right, for a couple hours and then drive back. So our participation is growing, not just from the local emergency manager level, but from our partner agencies as well. And it's really an amazing thing to see.
What questions do you guys have for us about emergency management? Yes, sir.
You briefly covered it in got questions on exercises that you conduct in emergency response. How often, what type of events, and the coordination of local first responders, how many?
Sure.
Any point in time?
Yeah, so at the local level, exercises can vary in scope depending on what the needs are in the community and what the leadership direction is. So what are the priorities in that community at that time? In Chesterfield, we have done several active threat exercises with schools. This year, we did a workplace violence exercise with school administration. We are regularly involved in dam tabletop exercises, natural gas exercises. So it varies in scope and size. And then emergency management, generally we coordinate, we bring together all the players. If we are creating and facilitating that exercise, we will bring people from each of the main players together to plan and develop the scenario, what we're looking to practice, because this isn't a test, okay? Exercises aren't tests. We are evaluating the plans that we have and procedures and policies. And I tell everyone, try to break the plan. See what does not go right, so we can fix it before we have to do it for real.
Good. And usually, annually, we do one regional exercise that we do in conjunction with the State Department of Emergency Management. And that actually involves our entire footprint, not y'all's. So we've got, again, all those 7 planning districts that we touch. So we try to make sure we can have an exercise that includes those. But then, as Jess said, when we did a gas exercise, which I think several communities in here get gas through Richmond Gas Works, we invited those communities to come in and participate in that exercise. And through this region, or through this group, we've got access to all those folks. So I made sure Goochland was there. I think we had Hanover folks there.
We were there.
Chesterfield. I know,
Yeah, we were there.
we had Henrico, because all those people receive the gas. And this year was just Richmond. We involved those folks in the planning piece of it. So that they can all see how that works, and next year we're working towards making it more of a, how do we involve those other communities?
And involving the other communities, even if they aren't like a responder, right? Goochland wouldn't be responding to a DPU emergency in Richmond, but they can learn best practices. They can watch that exercise and go, oh, I didn't think of that, or oh, wow, that didn't work out so great. Sir.
Thanks. Do you have videos or a website that we can link to?
We typically, there are a lot of exercises, I know for us, like when we have, if there's police movement and ops.
Cops don't want videos of their tactics, right?
Tactics, no.
So there's a lot of that we try not to do. We have done exercises in the past where we've had to set up some
Yes.
videos and things on it. It's not a strong suit for us. That's one of those things we'd love to, we always joke around, we are excellent stagehands. But we hate being in the play, right? We can make that scene move behind, but please don't put us up front, right? So I think that's part of where we're trying to work on getting out and telling that story a little bit more, getting that video to show it, because regional collaboration happens. We just aren't great at capturing it just yet, so.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Question, please. To follow up on yesterday's news with tragic and devastating floods out in Southwest and Buchanan County, was there any requests made for resources for your group, someone in your group to go out to Southwest or follow up with recovery efforts?
Just, no, so they work through the state for that. If there was a need, they would put that request through the state, and we might be able to provide emergency management folks, swiftwater rescue people. They usually, we don't send people till they're requested, basically. And then it's whatever we can find and get in need to bring to them.
Any other questions?
Anybody online?
Is the website www.plansafe.org? Is that what he could go to check on things?
Yes, we are connected in with the PlanRVA website. That's our direct link. We are in the process of re-snazzying our website. So stay tuned for that this fall. So we're trying to really fully develop more of that professional side. We have a lot of preparedness information for residents in the region, but we're trying to develop that professional side that shows why folks, within government or whatever industry they're in should connect with us and the resources, yes.
Do you have an app?
No, we do not have an app.
Okay, because that's what they have in the areas in California and the other areas where there's a fire and that sort of thing.
Oh,
They
okay.
have an app
That's-
that's to give you the emergency
Yes, so
information.
we have emergency alertings in our communities.
So you do have an app?
Every jurisdiction has, may be an app, but everybody has to have some sort of alerting system.
Yes.
Where to go to get information on their iPhone?
We point people to their home jurisdiction.
Yes.
Okay.
We are the professional level of that. So we work with all the emergency managers to provide like that outreach information to give to that individual.
So if someone is in Chesterfield and they want to know how to sign up for Chesterfield alerts, we're going to point them back to my office. In Richmond, back to his office and their website.
There are a couple of different ones, that's what I'm getting at. There are
Yes.
about 3 different ones, so how do people know which one to look at? I mean, this is, you were saying would go back to the community.
It has to go to your
Yes,
community.
to the local level.
Individual level.
Disasters always start and end locally. That's the big mantra in emergency management. So always start at that local level, and that's what we're here to advocate for, is that support at the local level.
That's one of our challenges as kind of that home rule state, right? There's no necessarily standard for it. So what do you guys use, Everbridge?
Yes.
And we use Code Red. So there are
Code
different
Red.
apps. It's just which community uses which app for that.
Alright.
And I believe that Code Red isn't Henrico. I think
Well,
so.
There's-
Code Red is one, but we also have an app.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think Code Red has that app piece, and I'm not sure if there's a.
Yeah, I was in an airport in Sarasota and it went off and that thing screeches.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, was that a Henrico alert or was that an alert from where you were?
Yes, it was a Henrico alert.
Okay, excellent.
It was a Code Red.
It's great to see another Nittany Lion.
Yes.
Could you just give us a little bit, so thank you for coming today and presenting to us. Can you talk a little bit about the interaction with the PlanRVA staff? Because I know you work with several PDCs. So what would be an example of how PlanRVA and the EMA work together?
So PlanRVA, like I said, they are expert at herding all of our business, right? They provide us with administrative support, fiduciary support for our grants. So all the grants that we receive are written by, administered by PlanRVA. Huge instrumental. They provide us the space to meet. They take care of our equipment. So while we encompass multiple planning districts, PlanRVA is our home base. So they are our go-tos, and while we want to make sure the other planning district commissions know that the Alliance touches them, PlanRVA is our home.
Great, thank you for that.
And with that included, that's one of the things where we talk about that inclusion. We want to make sure that Craters at the table, that Cumberland and some of our outliers that are in those other areas are also at the table for the needs, because we touch them, we work with them, we fit with them. And just because there's a state drawing line, doesn't mean we don't want to work with our partner across that.
A good example too are the health districts. We touch multiple health districts. So Henrico Health District's at our table, Churchfield Health District, Crater Health District. So it's the same concept. We want everybody at the table to be aware.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Please thank our guests, and we appreciate you.
Thank you all very much. And if you do have emergency management questions, there is someone in your community.
Yes. And if you can't find them, we know a guy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, Ms. Peterson.
Well, first of all, I just love the tag team approach to this thing, really effective. But I want to this is an aside, I noticed all this stuff, everything that was on the screen was available for all of the folks who were watching us online. What we did not have on the screen, and I don't know if we can handle it IT-wise, is a view of the speakers when they were speaking. Is there a way we can share screens, put the information up there, and have the speakers being shown so that people online can get the effect, a better effect like we did here?
Yeah, I think we had the image of Mark changed the camera from this U shape to the speakers, and I think that was spotlighted, but we'll double check it on the YouTube stream and make sure that that's visible for those online in the future.
Very good.
Thanks.
We have now the executive committee and chairman's report. Can I get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Section 2.237A1, for the purpose of discussing personnel matters concerning specific employees, which requires discussion and consultation with legal counsel pursuant to 2.23711A8, during which all recording of the meeting will cease.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're going to go into closed session here.
So for all of the commissioners who are online, you should have received a Zoom link. It would have been a calendar invite that has the link to click in the calendar invite, and it's entitled Closed Session Full Commission Meeting. If you don't have it, please email me and I will send it to you. Mrs. Page, if you can hear me, we're trying to get you moved over. But if you leave this webinar and click on your calendar invite, that's where you should go. We'll monitor the Zoom webinar to make sure that people don't get stuck here. But for those that are virtual, they need to go ahead and leave this webinar and log into the Zoom meeting. Mark's gonna get that set up on this computer while staff clears the room.
Thank you.
And
Bear with us, everybody.